Okie doke.
Welcome to First Parish in Waltham. We are so glad you are here. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. My name is Elise Gittleman. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm wearing lots of rust-colored things and my No Kings button from yesterday. Here are this week's announcements. We try to make our service as accessible as possible with hearing helpers and large print versions of service materials available from our ushers in the back or on the side. Our weekly newsletter is available on our website, and paper copies are at the entrances to the building. To receive an emailed copy each week, please speak to a greeter or usher. Interested in donating flowers for a Sunday service? To sign up, please view the newsletter. Those are very pretty. Okay. Pastoral care is available to everyone, newcomers, members, and visitors alike. Please reach out for any assistance. After today's service, we will vote on the grant recommendations from the Jones Partnership Committee. Please plan to stay. We've just passed 70% of our pledge goal, bringing us up to 23 out of our 57 households participating. Please add your pledge. Yes, thank you, Carla. Fill out the online or paper form. Contact Janet Riley or Dan DeHano for questions. The First Parish online auction begins Friday, April 3rd. Consider donating an item or offering a service. Community entertainment takes place on Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. Check the newsletter for details. Book Club meets Thursday, April 16th from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. in the Harrington Room and Zoom. See the newsletter for more. We will have our Passover Seder in Whitcomb Hall from 6:30 to 9 p.m. on April 3rd. Bring a dish, juice, or soft drink to share. Email Joan Bone and let her know. Next Sunday, please wear your favorite hat or something yellow to celebrate Easter. Probably you get bonus if you wear a yellow hat, I think. Thank you to all who have contributed to Coffee Hour this week. Next week, we invite those with names from last names from A through C to contribute. Sign up in the newsletter to help. This is the end of today's announcements. Please check you have silenced your phone and other communication devices. And now, please turn around and wave to the lovely people who are joining us via Zoom. Our video camera is just to the right of the exit sign over the door. And a last announcement, there's a town hall hosted by Colleen Bradley MacArthur Tuesday night, and there are flyers about it in Wickham Hall.
Welcome to First Parish, Waltham, a Unitarian Universalist church. We are people of many backgrounds and many beliefs. We create spirituality and community beyond boundaries, working for peace, justice, and love in our own lives and in the world. My name is Michael Carmody. I use he, him, and his pronouns. I am the Music and Worship Commissioner. I'm a 70-year-old white man wearing a black shirt and black pants. Whether you are a lifelong spiritual seeker or a curious visitor finding your ways to these doors for the first time, we're glad to have you. Whether you come with a heart full of hope or burdened with sorrow, you're welcome here. Whether you're seeking spiritual nourishment or just a warm place to sit for an hour, we're glad you chose to come here today. We gather this morning in this sanctuary, a beloved community woven with hope, love, courage, justice, and compassion. We come to this room of hope where our hearts and minds are opened to the future. We gather in gratitude for those around us to embrace the promise of transformation, healing, and the possibility of creating a better world together. Not because we have figured out life's mysteries, but because we're on a path of discovery with questions at every crossroads. In this hour, may we find comfort for our afflictions and a gentle challenge for our certainties. May we allow our restlessness to evolve into action and our dreams to grow into new ways of being in the world. The flame within a chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It signals that we are a community gathered into a sacred space. The candle represents the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. This morning, our chalice will be lit by Michael Williams.
With this chalice, may we kindle the flame of our attention, not too fiery or wild, spreading without cause or care, not too dim or fading, unfocused and ineffective, but like a cheerful cook fire in a cozy hearth, like a comforting candle, flickering yet steady. May our attention be befriended, directed, and sustained for the betterment of all humankind.
Thank you, Michael. We invite you now to join in our opening hymn. Join in whatever way feels right for you. Stand and sing along if you like, clap your hands, tap your feet, do a little dance, or just listen and let the music envelop you. Our opening hymn this morning is number 1010. We Give Thanks. It's found in the light blue hymnal, hymn 1010. Please remain standing for our unison affirmation that begins with the word love. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant. Dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated.
Good morning, everybody. My name is April Rosario. I use she, her pronouns. I am a Black woman with longer than shoulder length dreadlocks, and I am 39, and I am so glad to be with all of you today and to serve as your Director of Faith Formation. Now, all month long, we have been exploring the theme of paying attention. With that in mind, I want to tell you a story. And I'm going to ask that you really pay attention to it, because it's one that some of you have heard before, maybe more than once. And I don't know about you, but I tend to tune things out when I've already heard it. So, your challenge is up front with this story. You've already heard it, but pay attention anyway. The reason for that is because often I get asked the question, well, as Unitarian Universalists, you don't have a sacred text. So do you come up with a brand new story every single time? Sometimes I do. But sometimes I like to go back to really, really good ones. Because sometimes we have to hear something more than once to understand it. Sometimes we have to hear something 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times. Sometimes more than 7 times. So with that in mind, this is one of my favorites. It's called The Cricket and the Coin. And if you've been with us before, you already know how I love to start a story. So please help our new folks know how I love to start a story. We'll start it with Once upon a time, there were 2 friends. One had grown up in the country, and one had grown up in the city. The country friend had joined the city friend in the city. They were taking a walk. They were walking down a very traditionally urban street. Cars were honking, sirens were going, street vendors were calling out, you could hear music and talking. The street was alive. The friends were walking, talking about their day, about tomorrow, just regular old chit-chat. when the friend who had grown up in the country stopped, dead in their tracks. The city friend, used to walking really, really fast, actually had to take a beat and realized they were a couple paces ahead. Turned around and said, "What are you doing?" The country friend said, "Can you hear that?" "Hear what?" "I hear everything, all of it. It's the city." "Do you hear the cricket?" The country friend said. The city friend just kind of laughed and gave them a look like, "No, I don't hear the cricket. We're standing at an intersection. No." "No," said the country friend. "I can hear it. There's a cricket right there." "No, there's not," said the city friend. "And even if there is, there's no way you heard it. Everything is happening. There's no way you heard a cricket." The country friend said, "No, come here. Look, look, look." So they walked over to what was one of those big ceramic planters, you know, the ones that are kind of all over the city sidewalks. And the country friend pushed back the underneath side of a bush. Said, "Look." They both leaned over, peered in. And sure enough, at the very base of the shrub was one single tiny cricket. The city friend didn't really know what to do. So came up with a whole bunch of things like, "Well, you planted that there. You brought it with you in your suitcase. You put it there just to tell me that it was there." "No," said the country friend. "Well, you must have, and started rattling off all the different scenarios of, you know, what the country friend must have done to know there was a cricket there. The country friend said, "Watch, let me show you something." Reached their hand into their pocket and pulled out a fistful of change. Within a few seconds, took that fistful of change and tossed it onto the sidewalk. Clink, 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 clink. The coins made a sound as they hit the pavement. Within seconds, every head in the vicinity turned to the coins clinking on the pavement. The country friend said, "They're not any louder than the cricket. You can't hear them over the music and the people and the sirens and the horns. It's just what you've decided to pay attention to. I decided long ago to pay attention to the things that truly matter. And for me, that's nature. So I look for it wherever I am, even when I come to visit you in the city." The end. Now, even though I gave you a challenge at the beginning, I'm me. So I'm still going to give you a challenge at the end. And here's what it is. We can get so distracted with the things that happen all the time. They pull our focus and our attention. And we sometimes forget to take a beat and remember to put our focus on the things that matter most, to really decide where we want to give our energy and our attention. So that is your challenge today, tomorrow, and in the days and weeks to come. Even with everything you have going on in life, because we all do. We all have our own versions of sirens and horns and music and people talking on city streets. What is the tiny thing that you want to remember to put your attention on? I will leave you with that challenge and invite you to rise in body or spirit as you're willing and able, and join us on our next hymn, number 4, "I Brought My Spirit to the Sea."
So we're refining this whole candles thing, and we have a script. I'm going to read it. And Joel, actually, he's going to hold the candle over this. Oh. Yeah. KJ has to iron the wax out of the rug. So what we're trying to do is have a line and light a candle and then come over here to me and make a line, and then you can say what you want to say. So as we come, oh wait, I'm Plum Kennard, she, her, white, and I'm on the lay pastoral care team, and we're available. As we come to our time of joys and concerns, we're making space for one another across generations. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we gather to share our real lives, knowing we are not alone. Our celebrations grow richer when shared, and our burdens feel lighter when held in community. So the kids have gone off, so we'll just have the adults. Anyone who wishes to share briefly is now invited to please come forward, light a candle if you wish, and then step to the microphone. If you're joining us on Zoom, you're invited to share in the chat, and then I'll read it later. Okay, so if you have anything you'd like to say, come on up, and I'll start it by left-handed. I'm going to do one more candle for... There's nothing on the chat, he said. Yeah, thanks. Good to remind me. I like that. So this is for the joys and sorrows we carry but can't talk about. Won't do it. There it goes. And I just wanted to say, too, that I'll be in at coffee hour in Whitcomb Hall, and if you want to tell me about something that's going on and have somebody just listen, I would love that. So, thank you.
We invite you now to join in a moment of silent meditation. Relaxed but alert, let your breaths be deep and cleansing, clearing your mind of everything except the air moving in and out of your body. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of hope, Spirit of justice, God known by many different names, you have given us a day unique from any other. You have connected us, all of us, with each other and with the world in ways that are largely a mystery to us. You have given us little instruction other than to be present in our own lives, to feel wonder at the creations of the universe, and to love one another. You have put gifts and challenges in our paths, joys and sorrows, strengths and frailties, some of which we have already encountered, and others we have yet to discover. On this unique day, may we receive exactly what it is that we need.
Good morning. I'm Joan Smith. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm wearing black pants and a red, black, and white sweater this morning. I'm here to offer the invitation to generosity. We live in a world that is constantly asking for our attention, pulling us in 100 different directions at once. And yet, what we choose to pay attention to becomes what we nurture. Here at First Parish, we practice giving our attention to what matters, to community, to compassion, to justice, to one another. Our financial gifts are one way we make that attention visible. They are how we say, this matters enough to sustain. So as you consider making a financial gift this morning, I invite you to reflect, what do you want your attention to grow in the world? May your giving be an expression of that care. Let us generously give and gratefully receive this morning's offering.
Good morning. My name is Deb Jose. I'm a 70-year-old white woman with dark glasses. Our reading this morning is a poem titled What Will Remain, written by Simone Weil. What will remain of you is what you chose to give away. Instead of keeping it in a rusty chest, what will remain of you is a secret garden and a forgotten flower that never faded. What you gave will, in time, blossom in others. When a life is lost, it will be found again. What will remain of you is what you freely gave with open arms one sunny morning. What will remain of you is something you once lost and that you yearned for since before you first awoke. Even the pain you felt will live again in others, for when a life is lost, it will be found again. What will remain of you is a fallen tear, a smile that grew forth from the depths of your heart. What will remain of you are the seeds that you sowed, that you shared with those who were starving for comfort. And the seeds that you sowed will take root in others' hearts in turn, because when a life is lost, it will be found again.
I wasn't a great student as a kid. My report cards were often written underachiever. Typical comments were, is capable of so much more if he paid attention. I got frowns from my parents. Why don't you try harder? I don't know. I wasn't failing. Everybody knew the kids who were failing in school because it was the 1960s and all the boys wore their hair long. So after report cards came out, the boys who were failing came to school wearing winter caps, hiding the crew cuts their parents made them get as punishment for bad report card. My parents tolerated my B average. My older brother, who excelled at math and science, was the one bound for academic glory. But my teachers were right. I could have, but didn't often choose to pay attention in class. I paid more attention to what was outside the classroom windows, the winter snowflakes, the autumn leaves, the spring dandelions, the birds, the squirrels. It wasn't until I attended college in the 1990s that I became interested in academics, biology, chemistry, anatomy, philosophy. It was all very fascinating then. So considering our theme this month of paying attention, that was the first thing I thought about. Attention as a mental focus, concentration. Something like mindfulness, for example, Henry David Thoreau's immersive study of nature during his time living near Walden Pond. Let's break down this word pay in pay attention. The Cambridge Dictionary includes a definition of the word pay that is roughly synonymous with the word give, as in pay tribute, pay a compliment, or pay a visit. So paying attention is not necessarily mental focus. It can also be action. Our Unitarian Universalist living tradition describes 6 shared values, each with love at its foundation. Equity is one of these values. Now, I should pause here to say that some UU lingo needs a little explanation. Equity, as used in the shared values, doesn't mean the value of an investment. In this context, equity means being fair and just, taking measures to address inequalities so that everyone has an equal chance to succeed. The UU value of equity states that we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. The UUA explains how equity should be achieved by stating, we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, there's that word, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. So when we're urged to use our attention to achieve equity, we put our attention into action. To understand attention as action, think about the phrase medical attention. It begins with a diagnosis, But it doesn't just include a doctor standing over a patient. It follows with the actions necessary to make that person well. There is a spiritual understanding of attention in action in the writings of Simone Weil. Now, if you're interested in Simone Weil, her last name is spelled W-E-E-I-L, but pronounced Weil. I think it's because it's French, I'm not sure. And she wrote the poem that we heard a couple of minutes ago. Weil was a political activist, mystic, poet, and philosopher who's best known for more than a dozen essays about religion, politics, and philosophy, most of which were published after her early death in 1943. Weil saw attention as a spiritual practice, the same as prayer, a shift away from the self and onto something or someone else. Weil wrote that attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. She went on to say, to give up our imaginary position as the center, to renounce it, not only intellectually, but in the imaginative part of the soul. That means to awaken what is real and eternal, to see the true light and hear the true silence. I love that, hear the true silence. Whew. Simone Weil didn't just write about it. She fought for labor rights, helped Jews in France to escape the Nazis, and worked in the Free French movement, the resistance government headed by Charles de Gaulle. Writing about those in need of attention, Weil said, "The afflicted need nothing else in this world but people capable of giving them attention." That sounds like empathy, doesn't it? But attention goes beyond understanding and sharing feelings. Weil is saying to us that thoughtful communication and deep understanding will help determine the best course of action to benefit the afflicted. So let's bring this home now to our church. In particular, what we can do. The principle of action as it relates to the covenant of our church. We'll start with the bottom line of our covenant, to help one another. How do we do that? Well, there's many ways to help, both within the church community and the communities and activities and organization that our church supports. Our covenant also states that service is our law. Law. That word law has always felt uncomfortable to me. But consider that the word law may not be intended to be an imperative or a requirement, but an invocation, a calling for us to express our faith by making a difference in each other's lives. It may be that the word law was meant to replace doctrine or creed. In other words, Unitarian Universalists don't have doctrines or creeds. Instead, they value service. Another way to think of it is it's not important what you believe or say as what you do. The familiar deeds, not creeds, I think many of you are familiar with, that has become our UU unofficial motto and has been embraced for hundreds of years, including by John Adams, the first Unitarian president of the United States. Being defined by what you do and not what you believe reminds me of the scene in the 2005 movie Batman Returns, where Batman, played by Christopher Bale, right? Says to his lawyer friend, Rachel Dawes, I won't do the voice, It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. In that scene, Batman was restating what Rachel had told him months earlier, affirming that he learned from her and is living by the truth of her wisdom. Human beings are successful as a species not because they compete, but because they collaborate, because they team up for the good of all. And as the ancient tribes grew in numbers and developed technology, formed civilizations, they adopted the moral imperative to help those in need. Here in this church, we promote that moral responsibility, attention with action, and service to our beloved community. This offers opportunities for volunteering. You might be asked to help out on a project or join a committee. You may choose your own adventure, as they say, to help in a way that feels like a good fit for you. Maybe something interesting, or better yet, something you can do exceptionally well. Whatever way you choose to help, it should make you feel good. I talked about attention in relation to the shared value of equity, and there are other shared values that need our attention. The interdependence of all existence, our earth and all living things, another of these shared values, calls for our attention and action to reduce climate change, the loss of natural habitat and species. Justice calls for our attention, more now than in a long time. Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists have a rich history of engagement in social justice, including abolition, civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, marriage equality, climate justice, and much more. When we strive for equity, climate, and social justice, we bear in mind the phrase, think globally, act locally. It's not likely that a single action will make a major change, but working together, our local actions can ripple out to other communities and farther. We saw this with the organized activities yesterday, the marches and demonstrations nationwide. When our attention is given to a single person, actions can also ripple out to the greater community. Think of the story some of you may know. It's called The Star Thrower. It tells of a person walking on the beach, encountering another person, the star thrower, picking up starfish one at a time and throwing them back into the ocean. When asked by the first person, there are so many, how can throwing back just one at a time makes any difference? The star thrower holds up one starfish and says, makes a difference to this one. We need more star throwers. Would you agree? Yeah. This being Pledge Month, we are reminded that service to our community should include a regular member offering or pledge, because financial support is critical for so much around us. The building, our church staff, education, music, and the many things that our church supports. Service, giving, volunteering are all ways to practice our faith after we leave the church doors this afternoon. But it's not always easy or natural. It may take you out of your comfort zone. The historian John Meacham wrote of Thomas Jefferson that his parents and mentors as impressed on the young man that service was owed to family, community, and colony. Now, I was a Boy Scout, and those values were impressed on me too. I looked it up recently, the merit badge, citizenship in the community, which I had back 50-something years ago, and was pretty much compulsory. That's still one of the things that you do. It's a little bit more than helping old ladies cross the street. That was the old stereotype. But I've met several people that tell me they don't owe anybody anything. John F. Kennedy's famous challenge, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It sometimes seems like from a bygone era. Not all of us have the time or ability to volunteer as much as we would like. People have responsibilities to their jobs and their families. We're also bombarded by an overload of information vying for our attention. You know, I think I heard that the average teenager spends about 6 hours or more on their cell phone every day. It's pretty amazing. Some of us say we just don't have the bandwidth to do any more. So with our spare time being so precious to us, maybe having so little, it makes sense to ask, is this worth my time? In our reading by Simone Weil, What Will Remain, the poet reminds us that our worth as human beings should be measured less by our prosperity and accomplishments, but instead by the effects of attention on those in need. Again, a couple of her words. What will remain of you are the seeds that you sowed, that you shared with those who were starving for comfort. So in the meantime, we all want to feel good about helping one another. So will helping others make us feel good? I have some good news. Medical research has found that helping others boosts levels of endorphins, oxytocins, and dopamine in the brain. It lowers blood pressure. It boosts the immune system. It lowers stress. It increases lifespan. And one more thing. It changes you for good. Before we sing our closing hymn today, I'll just tell you briefly why I chose this hymn from a list sent by our music director. I love this tune, but also the words in the first and final verses. All life is a gift from which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. So please join us in whatever way feels good for you in our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life, in your gray-colored hymnal. Hymn number 128. check and make sure I wasn't missing anything. As you leave this space, made sacred by our presence, may you practice the art of truly noticing yourself with honesty, others with compassion, the world with clear eyes. Remember, attention is love made deliberate. So go with courage to look closely, to stay present, to let what you witness reshape you as well as the world. Shalom, salam, peace be with you. A seat now. I think we are going immediately into the congregational vote. So please, if you can have a seat, this should take only a few minutes.